Welcome everyone for our webinar. On our webinar on the certificate program in Hindu civilizational studies. So at HUA, over the last 3-4 years, we've been kind of course focused, and the Haris have been at the heart of it with their Exploring Hinduism for Teenagers and Parents and the whole series of courses that they've put together. But we are now making a shift towards a programmatic approach so that we can approach this as Hindus with clarity and confidence, a structure and a guiding principle and a foundation and a structure. So in this webinar, we're going to ask some of these questions about, can we understand the Hindu civilization from a Hindu perspective that goes beyond the myths set in motion during the colonial encounter of the last few hundred years? And that's a question that we've been digging into across this platform, Hindu University of America, through so many courses and webinars. But this certificate program in particular is going to get into, can we critically examine these myths and misrepresentations in the light of the facts that are often left out or suppressed in service of a certain grand narrative? So what gaps exist in our understanding of Hindu history, and can we address them systematically? Well, the short answer is yes, we can address them systematically. And that's what Hindu University of America is about. That's what we're going to talk about in this webinar, looking closer at the certificate program in Hindu civilizational studies. And so with that, again, please put in the chat where you are zooming in from. And now, without further ado, let me just introduce our wonderful panelists, speakers, faculty, scientists, gurus, just everything. It's a pleasure to have Dr. D.K.Hari and Dr. D.K.HemaHari with us today, always. Let me introduce Dr. D.K.Hari first, who hails from an Indian traditional family with its roots in Kanchipuram, known for its age-old temples, saints, and scholars. He had his schooling in the prestigious Rishi Valley School. Then he graduated from Madras Christian College and did his post-graduation in business administration from PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. He had a 20-year career as a management professional, managing the family business in various verticals, such as oil and gas, FMCG supply chain, and heading the marketing for a building industry product company, during which he established a brand and sales network in India and abroad. That's not why he's here today. We're going to get into that. But we also have Dr. D.K.HemaHari, who was born in Mysore, grew up in Bombay, and she double graduated in physics and computer technology. I always love saying that, physics and computer technology from Bombay University. Her 20-year career spans in information technology, focusing mainly on managing innovation and nurturing new technologies by providing consulting, mentoring, and business development support for the same. She's traveled widely to many countries and also within India on professional as well as on personal grounds, which gave her an opportunity to learn about various cultures and widen her horizons. She's learned Carnatic music since childhood from many artists, and it is the fact that Dr. D.K.Hari and Dr. D.K.HemaHari both earned their doctorate degrees at Sri Sri University, and together they started the BharathGyan initiative in civilizational studies back in the year 2000. They've been doing this for 22 years now, traveling the world, giving presentations, writing books, making videos, and now teaching courses at Hindu University of America. But their initiative, BharathGyan, follows an interdisciplinary approach to researching from a Hindu perspective and provides an integrated narrative of the Indian civilization. And they've brought out over 100 books and I think a few hundred short films. And now you are in, I don't know if this is your 7th or 8th quarter with Hindu University of America, but you've been teaching courses with 100 students attending regularly. It's just been an amazing pleasure to have the Haris join Hindu University of America with their wisdom, with their passion for teaching. And I hope you will, I know you will enjoy this webinar with us today, and I hope you will consider enrolling in the Civilizational Certificate Program for Hindu Studies. I didn't say that exactly right, but we're going to get into all of that. We'll take your questions. Please put in the chat where you are zooming in from. And with that, let me hand it over to the Haris, who are surely going to wow us with the depth of this certificate program that they've been working on and putting together. To you.
Thank you, Ankur Patel, for introducing us so well. Thank you. And I said, this is our entering the 10th quarter, our association with Hindu University America. And it's been a very enriching association that we have in this journey over the last almost 2.5 years now. We have been able to share the knowledge of BharathGyan with people from across time zones. In the East Coast, from New Zealand, Australia to West Asia to Europe, South Africa, the different time zones in the American continent, both North and South America. So across, so it's been, and
we've had people even from South Africa and the Caribbean and
all over. So
it's been a pleasure
interacting with all. And thanks for introducing about this next upcoming course, this certificate program. Now, Dr. Hema will briefly introduce you to the subject of the evening, because when we talk about Hindu civilization, if we have to study about it, which is unique in the sense that we have a university here in America offering it as a proper program, as a certificate program, that's to be much appreciated as a course. So given that, we'll just share the presentation with you now.
So when we talk about Hindu civilization, all right, it'll be very interesting. See, we normally associate when we say the word civilization, each of us sometimes comes up with different words. But if you go to the etymology and look at what does civilization actually mean and where does this word originate from, you will find that it is a Latin word and the root is a word civis, or from which comes civil. And what it really means is citizen. So while we have various connotations about culture and various other aspects, living as a group and everything, the fundamental meaning seems to be citizen. So when you say the word citizen, then it comes up with a whole lot of other implied meanings. It means that it is an organized society. It is not just a group living as is together, but a group which is organized, a group which has organized itself to be able to also govern itself and have some form of code of conduct, which is why you have the word civilized, which also implies that there is a code of conduct behind it. It's not just random living. So when with all these kind of implied meanings, then when you say it is a Hindu civilization, then it also means that this Hindu group of people have been living in an organized form, and there have been, it's a place where there have been people who have considered themselves as citizens of this civilization. The next question will then be, so how old is it? From how long have we been having this kind of a form of organized living? So we'll just play a very, very small film for you for that.
As per the Indian Constitution, this land is called India, that is, Bharat.
Why does this country have two names? Why is India called Bharat?
The word Bharat etymologically stands for Bha, that is light, the spreading of light, the knowledge which comes with the spreading of light, and Rat, one who is a connoisseur of knowledge. The spread of this land is also expressed in the literature of the land. In the Rig Veda, Rishi Swamitra describes the people living in this land as Bharatam Janam. The word Janam means people, citizens.
Bharat is the land where people relish knowledge.
So we see very clearly here that as early as 7,000 years ago, Rishi Swamitra in the Rig Veda very clearly speaks about Bharatam Janam, citizens, people coming together. And obviously Rishi Swamitra has interacted with the father of Rama, that is Raja Dashratha, where he's talking about this. So you have this idea of a civil society going back 7,100 years and ago. So this, we look at the antiquity of land, look at the idea. He is not talking about the citizenry of Ayodhya alone. He's not talking about the Kosala kingdom. That was a kingdom of Raja Dashratha, because which is why he is called Kosala Rama. But he's talking about citizenship of the whole land of Bharat. So look at the beauty of it. So that ancient is idea of citizenship of this land. So it's not that India is from 1947 when we got independence from British, but it goes back 7,100 years and more is the beauty of what we are trying to express here in this short film.
And therefore, this Hindu civilization goes as back at least, because he's talking about it from Veda, and the Veda were last recompiled only around 5,000 years ago. When they were composed, actually, is very hard to tell. And here we can see Vishwamitra telling Raja Dasharatha, that is the times of Rama. And so this idea of civilization and of the Hindus is coming from a very, very long time. So then it comes to the question, so how do we understand these Hindus who are coming from such a long time, so many millennia? So who are these Hindus? What did they do? Because there are two things. If you're speaking about somebody as a group and they are being identified, then they have done something very different. There's something different about them. So what is that different about them? What did they do differently? And how did they do that? And why did they do that? So these are some fundamental questions. And even if you know all of these, the question then will become, is it relevant today at all? Are the Hindu ideas relevant today? Is being a Hindu relevant today? So that is the fundamental moot question. So we can study about the Hindu civilization, we can study about various other civilizations, but there has to be some relevance to that study. It should be applicable today. And that is what we would like to really see. And it's been a journey that we have done, like Ankur was saying. Why did we also want to look at it? Because this Hindu civilization, as we all know, is coming from so long. And it is also something that is rather one of the only continuing civilizations of the world today. So it has seen success and it is still continuing. And if you look at it, the land of India, from where the Hindus, where the civilization has been rooted, if you see this land, India, and the name India has become the root for so many other different lands. Like if you see West Indies, East Indies, Indonesia, the word indigo for the blue dye, all of these are rooted in the word India as well.
Even in the Americas, the Native Americans were called Red Indians. So look at that. So the idea of India has been all over the world. Actually, when Christopher Columbus went westwards looking for, not for America or the West Indies up to which he went, the Caribbean islands up to which he went, he actually thought he reached India. Because that's when they knew the world was round, and he said, instead of going east, let me go west, I'll come to India. That's where he hit upon the Caribbean islands. And actually, Christopher Columbus thought he reached India. That's what.
So the search for India has been there for a long time. And that means we must have done something good. Many of you who are familiar with the film Sound of Music will remember there is a song which says, I must have done something good. So we also, the Hindus, should have done something good for so many people to want to come to India, to want to come in search of the Hindu civilization, and each have come for various reasons.
And she said about sustainable civilization. Look at all other civilizations. Today, you go to Greek civilization or a Roman civilization or Egyptian civilization. All of them, you can see them only in museums. They are no more the people. Whereas, while Indian museums are not that good, because you see the civilization among the people. So there's a only continuing civilization of the world.
Living civilization.
Living civilization and sustainably living civilization, not across decades, not across centuries, but across millennia. And that how many millennia? 7 or 8 millennia. So that speaks about the land, the vibrancy, and the practices of the Hindus that have kept them the most sustainable civilization of the whole wide round world. That's the beauty of the civilization.
And the civilization is not living only in India. It is living all over the world today. So even wherever they've gone, this civilization continues to be a living civilization. And that's a beauty. So the strength of the civilization, and that is a strength we need to see and understand, because if we have done something good and if we are a success, then what is it that we can pick up from this civilization to be able to succeed in various spheres? Because this is what we found out when we started understanding this civilization. Of course, when you start, you always think of it only from the point of view of religion. So you think of it as Hinduism and Hindu religion. But then as we started exploring and gathering data, this is from over 25 years ago now. So as we started, we found that there is so much more which says that this was a successful and prosperous civilization, highly advanced.
Sustainable, because today's key mantra in management and growth is all about sustainability. Here we have a practice that has been sustainable, not across decades again, but across millennia, which is what we see.
So how do you pick up these to gain, and how do we gain our confidence and dare to succeed again? So we look at the civilization, and we'll be taking you through the same kind of journey that we went through to understand first from the geography, because who are these people who are Hindus? Where did this civilization take root? So you need to understand the geography. And as we did just a quarter, in the previous quarter, the summer quarter, the geography determines the traits of a civilization. It's a big influencer in determining the traits, the characteristics, and all of which in turn go to influence the history as well of the civilization. So from geography, that is where everything stems. And it's very important to understand this, because from that we can also get a good understanding of the mindset which has come through so many generations and lives on even today. So from geography, we understand the history as well. And all of what is history if it is not determined by the success of the civilization, which comes from its industry. So why did we do these kind of industries? Why did we practice whatever we did? And the trade that came up with the industry, you will find that this civilization for over 2 millennia has contributed to 33% of the GDP, world GDP. And that is not what we are saying. That is a report that has been placed in the European Council, OECD. And in that, a xenophile, somebody who actually has been researching on China, is admitting that it is India, he's admitting to Europe, because Europe had initiated that study first, because they were under the impression that Europe has always been the powerhouse of the world, and has been the power center, industry center, money center, everything. And therefore, when somebody makes a statement that it's not Europe, but it is Asia, then this study was initiated and commissioned. And from that study, the output that comes out is this civilization has contributed 33% of world GDP was with this civilization. That means we have done a lot of industry, we have done a lot of trade. And if we have done both of these, we would have needed navigation. And if we have been doing trade and industry so successfully, then we should have been organized internally very well. So what was our society like? And all of this also comes along. Therefore, if we have navigated, we knew the earth was round. That means we have studied astronomy, we have studied cosmology. That means we also knew about the earth, sun, moon, all their rotations. So how did we keep time? How did we understand time? What is our understanding of cosmology?
Because time is not only about what you see on the calendar, on a wall. That's just for 1 year. That's not, and there's time is a lot beyond that. So timekeeping is a great aspect that speaks about a civilization. If a civilization can keep time across centuries and millennia, that means the civilization attained a zenith in geography, in history, in topography, in astronomy, and in various sciences. Because it's timekeeping is a culmination of variety of sciences. And time is not again on the calendar alone that you see on the wall, but it's all about movement of Earth in relation to other astral bodies in its parent solar system.
And once you know how to keep time, then you know that annually you're going to come across certain lovely windows that you can celebrate, and which is why we have had a lot of festivals, which we still celebrate in the Hindu civilization. And what are these and why do we celebrate those festivals? And you will see a beautiful thread which is common across all these festivals. You may be celebrating it as that of a divinity, or as some rituals, or as some kind of vrat observances, or some birthdays. But if you see, there will be a beautiful thread that connects all of this, and that we will see when we do festivals, when we start exploring them.
And you look at the word festival, it's an Anglican word. Indian word for it. What do you say? Utsav. What does it Utsav mean? Utsaha, uplifting. So every festival is not just for merrymaking, because festival in the Western sense is all about merrymaking, whereas our festival is all about uplifting oneself. Yes, merrymaking is part of it, but it's part of a larger process of uplifting oneself. That's why look at we so aptly named our festival as Utsav, or in Tamil called Utsavam, or any other level. So that's why Ut means to get up. Uttishta, Uttishta. That is so like that. So it is to elevate oneself, rise up, elevate oneself. That is what we thought of festivals. Because very helps rise up.
Now, what is all this knowledge? If you're going to keep it to oneself, you have to make sure that your entire society, generation after generation, continues to have this knowledge and can put it to good use. So that means you have to have a well-developed education system. Education is the way you transmit that knowledge across generations. So that is why education is again important. That means we had a very good organized education system. And how can you communicate all this knowledge and education if you don't have good language structure, grammar, medium of writing? So all of this then comes under the languages, and you find that this civilization is kind of like a potpourri of people speaking so many different languages, so many dialects as well.
But in spite of all that, we had a common language where people could trade in, travel, because people are traveling all over the land continuously, because you had Hinglaj Mata in Baluchistan as a Shakti Peeth, Tripura in the east as a Shakti Peeth, and then you have a Shakti Peeths in North Kashmir, you have a Shakti Peeth in Kanyakumari itself is a Shakti Peeth, then beyond Kanyakumari in Lanka, you have 2-3 Shakti Peeths, so you have all over, so people are constantly traveling. So even though there were local dialects and local languages, there was a common vocabulary. What you would in German call as Sprachbund. So like that, you had a vocabulary by which you could travel for yatra, and you also trade across tongues. Look at the beauty of so the language was not a divisive factor, but actually a connecting factor, in spite of having local variants. That's why in Hindi, Uttar Pradesh, you have a kahavat. I'm sure old kahavat, some of the seniors in the group here who have been to UP would have heard this probably a few decades ago. Kos mein gosh badalti hai. Kos means a distance. Gosh is what you speak, Goshana, announcement, what you speak, Gosh. So for every distance, the language starts varying. So that's the beauty of it you have. So even though we are a wide country, diverse country, across millennia, the vocabulary across the land had a good connect factors to it, but you also had a regional factor. So look at the good mix and match of both. So languages exemplify that in us.
And all these unifying factors are what form our ethos. So, and this ethos, the culture, or the word kalachar, look at the similarity both phonetically and semantically in meaning between the word culture and kalachar. They sound similar, they mean the same thing. So this is our ethos. So what is that ethos of the Hindu civilization? What are the factors that united us together and gave us the culture and therefore our identity? This is what we have to study to understand the Hindu civilization. And that will give us a good understanding about the religion after that. So to understand the religion itself and why our religion, the Hindu religion, says certain things is fundamentally based on all of these. These all have a role to play. And that is what we have been showcasing so far with our books and short films and various talks and so on. So across all these topics is what we've been talking. And over the last few years, we have been conducting courses in Hindu University of America. But now coming into the 9th and 10th quarter, after 2 years, we have now structured, put all of them together into a proper organized study of Hindu civilization, which we are offering therefore as a certificate program. The university has decided to put it up as a certificate. And in this, we will be looking at two aspects, like we said, who we are and what have we done. Because the how and what are the bridging aspect. So the who we are, we call it as the Exploring Hinduism series. And then the Hindu contributions to the world, both in the realm of matter and in the realm of mind. That is the hard as well as the soft things that we have given the world.
The stula and sukshma of it.
So eventually, if you look at it, we have organized it as 8 courses. So in Exploring Hinduism, we therefore have 4 courses. One is the geography and history, which we just did in summer. Then this fall, we are going to be doing Divinities and Dharma. And after that, we'll have cosmology and calendar, then society and culture. So this will pretty much cover the who part of the Hindus. And in this contribution set, we look at it as big 5. See, many people who have been on a visit to Africa, looked at the tourism brochures, will see that in Africa, they normally talk about whichever country in Africa, they'll say the big 5 game, which are the elephant, the rhino, the lion, the leopard, and the cheetah, and bison. So these are the big five game. So that's how they say. But then for the Hindu civilization, if you look at it, the fundamental, the success has been trade and navigation, and that's because of industry. So the big 5 that have determined the Hindu contributions in the realm of matter. So that is something we will see, and how these have been the game changer, not only for the Hindus, but for the world over.
See, there's a question here from Gayatri Devi, I think, about what is the language that we spoke with the Greeks. Mind you, before en routes, the Indians could communicate with the Greeks. They had to communicate in between with the Farsi, what in English now call as Persia, and beyond that is Arabia, then you have Turkey, then you have Greece. So it's 3 civilizations away, 3 tongues away. And mind you, they could talk through this language. That means the vocabulary, what we say in the Indian subcontinent, the primary vocabulary aspects held good across these 3 other tongues too. And a similar vocabulary stood good when you went to Suvarna Bhumi in the east, Malaya and Suvarna Bhumi and Singapura. So Suvarna Bhumi means present-day Indonesia. So you had this Sprachbund, as you say in this is a German term. So it's a family of language, body of languages, and held good. The key vocabularical words held good. And if you look at what is the word you call for a trader? Trades. This is a statement made by Bhagwan Sri Krishna. He calls it Go Krishi Vanijyam. That is, Vanijyam is a trade. And what is the important thing for a trader? To speak sweetly and communicate across languages, across tongues. So while there was a good vocabulary correct, and it was not Hindi, as another friend has said here. So another friend has said it's not Hindi, because Hindi is just a 1,000-year-old language. Sanskrit, yes. But more importantly, it's an understanding the body of language that the humans could communicate in a variety of ways. All that we'll discuss as we go along the course. Just giving you a glimpse here.
And regarding the question, do we offer language courses? Definitely yes. Hindu University of America has many language courses, both Hindi and Sanskrit, which you can find out from the website further. So how these have been game changers for this civilization and the world, and then the contributions in the softer contributions in terms of the sciences, the arts, the living, the lifestyle, the ideas, higher elevated thoughts of living. So all of these, this is what have been the contributions from this civilization, which we will be looking at as another series. So what we did was we have organized all of this into a kind of a circular program. So because by the time you do all the 8 courses, it is like 2 years, because we do once every quarter. So then it becomes 2 years, and then we repeat the entire circle once again. And people, it's like, the hop on, hop off in London, the London tour. So you can hop in and hop off anytime, depending on your ability to take the course in any particular quarter. And so that way you can keep going, and they're all structured very independently so that you can do any one of them and still, be able to pick up the ideas, and you can come back to the other ones a little later as well. So that is how we have organized this across 8 quarters.
She explained beautifully what these 8 quarters comprise of, so you can join at your comfort, and sort of, if you've got some other personal reason, one of the quarters, you can drop out and again come back a quarter later and still complete the cycle over a period of time. That's eminently possible. And in the chat box, I see a very glorious comment from our good friend Sri Vikram Sachin, who has taken part in quite a few of our courses, and he's encouraged many members of his family and extended circle of friends to take this course. Thank you so much, Sri Vikram Sachinji. We'd like to acknowledge and appreciate your support and help in this direction. And as Sri Ram Bhaskarji said, yes, we have had, this land has been fortunate across centuries, across decades, different regions of this land, to have different gurus and leaders, kings who have been noble, who have shared nobility, to spread nobility across the land. That's why we have the word what? Krinvanto Vishwam Aryam. To spread Aryam here is not about race or caste, it's about nobility. The word Aryam, not Aryan, but Aryam. The ma and na make a lot of difference, because there's no word called Aryan in our Indian language at all. We only have Arya, which means noble, nobility. So here the idea is to share nobility very happily with all the people across the land. So Kar, Krinvanto, let's share nobility everywhere is a whole idea of the civilization. Beautifully encompassed, we do that.
And each of these quarters, typically we have online courses with about 10 sessions, where we will be conducting these online sessions ourselves. And then there is 1 month given to go through all the recordings and the complete quizzes and diary logs. We put up a lot of reading material as well as films to watch, just like what we saw about Vishwamitra, some short, some long ones, both, mix of both. And
there is to answer the question from Nilima ji, yes, Nilima Kapoor ji, yes, we have quizzes at the end of our course. Yes, of course, we have a lot of quizzes, and more importantly, we have diary logs. You can maintain at the end of each course class. There's an option for you to maintain your diary log. So you keep your notes, and you can visit it any number of times over the years, as long as you keep your studentship with Hindu University America on. You can visit this diary log through the years to know, yes, you'll have the recordings to watch, and equally important, you will also have your own personal notes. Apart from the quizzes, with access to you, so you can see our articles, books, short films, our course discussions, where all of us can. It's not a soliloquy. It's not a upadesh. It's a lot of dialogue, discussion happening. It's actually multi-log in our course. That's what those who attend course know. It's multi-log. Yes, it's also possible to take the course from London. We have had a couple of people coming in from London. Just that you have to adjust your timing. That's all. Because
usually the courses are Saturday nights India time, which is morning half for USA and it comes during the day for Europe and London.
It comes probably clearly, but
In the evenings, evening time.
so you can adjust your time accordingly. And suppose for some reason, some of you missed the one particular course, the recordings, a session, one particular session, you can always go to the recordings and watch it later. I'm sorry. You can always go back to the course and watch it later, watch the recordings, and then enter your diary log. That's eminently possible. So much. And people from India, there's a couple of people, they're saying they can attend this from Mumbai, Hyderabad. Yes, we have a whole host of students attending this course from different parts of India, both urban and rural. And we have some people from Bangladesh too, and Nepal,
Yes.
Eastern Bangladesh, Nepal. So they got
And very, very interesting. During the summer, the course that we just did, we had one person, one lady from Bangladesh. And one of the sessions, she actually said, I'm joining in from a base camp in the Himalayas. And she was in the Himalayan.
Annapurna base camp.
She had gone mountaineering, she had gone there, and she joined from the base camp and attended the class. It was just too good to think and to feel, the connect Hindus across so many continents and different places, joining and simultaneously relishing. I mean, it really brings out the Bharata and the Bharatiya in us. The desire to relish. We just saw Bharata means people who seek knowledge, who relish knowledge. And this just shows that we are all seeking and wanting to understand about our civilization.
And equally important is relishing this knowledge, because Ba means Bhaskara, Bhanumati, light, glow. And so it also means, from that extent, that it means knowledge. And Ratha, Rati, the feminine form of Ratha, Rati. So one who relishes knowledge. So Bharata, we're all Bharati who relish knowledge.
Yes, continuing insurance policy, yes. So, what we do is, therefore, the university, how they've designed it is, if you attend any just one course, then you are given a course completion certificate at the end of it. But if you do all the 8 courses, one after the other, whenever you complete the cycle and you say, okay, I've finished, like a housey game, you say, I've struck off all the 8 courses, then you get the program certificate, and you also get a transcript for 12 credits, because it is 1.5 credits per course. And you can take whatever time you want at your convenience. You can keep completing one after the other.
Once you complete the program, you can take a printout of it yourself. So it's available in your dashboard. That's how it has been designed so well.
So now to come to focus on what we are going to be doing this fall, which will be the second course in the cycle, but it can be your first, never mind. And that is going to be on divinities and dharma. And we often hear that in the Hindu civilization, the Hindus have so many gods, 33 crores gods, right? So who are all these gods? Where are they? What are their names? And why do we want 33 crores? Why not 5 crores or 500 crores? Why did we stop with 33 crores? And are they really 33 crores again? So how do we understand this term? So, and the idea of needing so many divinities. So that is what we are going to be seeing through this particular fall. And are they real? Are they just conceptual, like tattva? I mean, they're obviously real, but are they tattva, or are they historical people as well?
See, the 2 things. Tattva means principle, concept. Historical means itihasa. Itihasa. It thus happened. So we have the two ways of looking at it. So these are not mythology. They are certainly not mythology. We have just written an article why we should not be calling them mythology. Actually, it's wrong to call them Hindu mythology, whereas it's right to call them Indian legends. And they're all either tattva, principles, concepts that we can realize, understand, or the itihasic.
And from there, we will also be looking at dharma. See, one of the words that we often hear in connection with Hinduism in the Hindu civilization is dharma. But at the same time, you also find, especially in North India, in Hindi and other languages, the word dharam also being used for religion. So what is this, and how do you understand dharma? You will find that people translate it in English as righteousness, living with the right order, doing the right thing. So what exactly is this righteousness? Is that the only meaning for dharma? So how do we understand dharma? Because Buddhism also is based on dharma. The other religions which have stemmed from the land of India, Bharat, are also based on dharma. They're all dharmic religions, Jainism, Sikhism, Buddhism.
That's
Everywhere you see
so
dharma.
Buddhism in Pali practice, what is dharma is called dhamma. So there's a dharma, dhamma connect. And sometimes, what people say, they want to say they're secular, so they say dharma nirpeksh. It's actually I don't want to use a strong word, it's actually a nonsense statement. Because you cannot be, dharma is your character, it's innateness. You cannot be agnostic to it. You can be pantha nirpeksh. The path you take, the pantha, you can say take any path you want. But living to your character is a totally different thing. Actually, we have written a full 50-page book on what is Hindu Dharma. It's in our BharathGyan website in the link on mini books.
And we'll also be bringing that in as the reading material for this course. So
those who want can read it before that also, welcome. It's there in our website for reading for.
So that is another aspect that we are going to be seeing as part of this course. And so roughly the 10 sessions that we are going to have for the Divinities and Dharma are, if you look at it, almost every civilization, every religion as well, the idea of God for that religion, it stems from their understanding of the process of creation. Because ultimately, the largest thing that you can ever think of is the entire creation. So the most supreme being has to be the one who has created. So that is the logic. So therefore, God and creation go together. So if you want to understand the Hindu divinities, the place where you have to start is to first understand the Hindu idea, the Hindu thought, and the knowledge that the Hindus had on the process of creation, which is Srishti Vijnana. So from there, how do we have the various gods coming up, and how did they become proliferate and become so many different gods?
There's a question here from one Siddharth Singh. See, I understand you're doing your B.Ed or a course in MA in India. The course that Hindu University of America offers with the credit program is now of an American university. When the new education policy is fully rolled out in India, and the credits of international universities also get accepted as part of the largest framework, then you will obviously be able to use some other credits. But now, under the present system, you may not be able to fully use it, but it'd be good to collect and keep to use it in future when it opens up.
But it is not internationally though. So in other universities of the world, these credits will be accepted.
And Gayatri ji, thank you so much for your comments. And yes, see, Sanskrit, whether it's a mother of other languages, it's a different issue, whether Pali, Prakrit, because let's not get into the antiquity issue in this. Let's focus on the Dharma divinities here, because all these languages are equally ancient and respected and noble.
And we all hear about Om, the Pranava mantra, the Pranava sound, the sound that originated with creation. So how do you understand Om? What gave rise to this Om? How has this Om been connected with various divine divinities that we pray to, like for instance, Ganesha, Subramanya, Brahma, Narada, all of these divinities, you'll find that there is a link with the Om itself. So why these divinities and Om? And Shiva himself is called Omkarna. So all of that we will see. Then nature scientific divinities. Because if you look at the Veda, the kind of devas that it talks about, there are so many different devas. There are different, they're grouped differently, and each one has a specific role. So what is their role in the overall scheme of the Hindu divinities?
It's Prakriti. So Prakriti is the scientific divinity of nature. So the beauty of Hindu Indian civilization is nature itself is divine. So nature, the different aspects, components of nature are the scientific divinities of our life that govern our life, each one of them.
So from there, we move on to how have we symbolized these divinities? Because many of them, if you see, are tattva. So how have we symbolized them? And what is the role? Every divinity, if you see in the Hindu pantheon, they will also have a Vahana. So what is the idea of a Vahana? So a Vahana, how does it help understand the divinity and why the divinity is associated with a particular kind of Vahana? So that is something, again, we'll be looking at. Fundamentally, if you see, the Hindu civilization is a metaphor-driven civilization. And it's very important to recognize that and therefore understand the forms, the names, the associations from that perspective. Without that, it will just look like certain caricatures and drawings. And some of them may be so complex and intriguing that you will not be able to explain, and which is what has happened. See, unfortunately, if you don't understand the metaphor and come from the Hindu point of view, then you will end up reading these drawings and the images very differently and can end up giving wrong kind of meaning to them. And these have caused embarrassing moments for the Hindus all around the world, and people are still trying to fight them, give a meaning to them, and so on. So this is something which is very important.
We don't
to
have to
understand.
anybody. We can share knowledge from its true perspective.
So Hinduism as a religion itself. So is there something called Hinduism? What is Sanatana Dharma? And is it just one religion? What about the different people praying to different divinities, doing different, slightly different rituals and so on, and having different philosophies? So the religion, the philosophy, then understanding the aspect of dharma and the karma. And what is the role of Veda in Hindu religion? Why has Veda been given some elevated status in the Hindu religion? Why do people still use Vedic mantra? And why do they perform Vedic rituals? So this is something, again, we'll be looking at. And so when we say rituals, then you can't leave temple and murti worship. How we have to shift from the word idol worship to murti worship, and why?
And idol worship is not the right word for us, because that's been imposed, because idol has got a different connotation. Murti has got a different connotation. So idol worship is not an appropriate word, whereas a more appropriate word would be murti or vigraha, which is what we explained as we go along the course. Incidentally, there's an article written on this just last week. You can read that.
And finally, how do we celebrate all these various divinities? We always keep celebrating. In fact, we are right in the midst of one of the most popular festivals for a popular divinity. We are having Ganesha all over the world. Hindus are celebrating. So how all do we celebrate the different divinities? And mind you, we do celebrate them differently at different time windows. It's not that this is summer, so let's all celebrate all the festivals for all the divinities in summer because there's the best time of the year. So, or in India, if you're in India, then the winter is the best time, or spring. But no, you find different time windows when certain festivals are held and for certain divinities. Not only festivals, very important to note, we also have certain observances on certain phases of the moon for certain divinities. Why do we do that? So that is yet another aspect. So these are certain things that we will be addressing and trying to understand in this particular fall quarter that is coming up from October 8th onwards until December 10th, or this, I think the second or third weekend of December.
Yes, see about this system, we'll be discussing this in Gayatri, when we do
the society and culture.
We'll certainly, that's a different quarter. We'll be certainly doing it. Yes, this quarter is focused on dharma and divinities. And
Gayatri ji, we would like you to please bear in mind the first slide that we showed about civilization, where civis actually means a citizen, right? So how that is a root for actually the words like city, civilized. So please bear in mind this meaning, and because that has relevance when we do the Jati, Varna and the society culture session.
Anyway, that is available in our book, Breaking the Myths About Society, where we discuss this whole idea. You can please read it there in our website. Thank you.
So, by doing this divinities and dharma, the reason is when we are saying, okay, we want to understand the relevance of being a Hindu today. So what is the relevance today? First, like we said, unless you understand this metaphorical language of the Hindus, we will not be able to explain the reason why there are so many divinities, why these divinities have been portrayed in such and such a manner. And many of the times, a wrong understanding and explanation by others have put people in the have put the Hindu, some of the Hindus in a mode of diffidence and sometimes shame, unable to explain properly. So that we hope they'll be able to address with this understanding, and then therefore relish and share it with others. Get others to instead relish this particular way of representation, which addresses sciences and nature from so many different aspects. And all of this is supposed to, therefore, it will help develop your self-confidence and your identity. And someone had asked, both students who are doing their academics in continuation with their current academic program can do these courses because they are just on weekends, and professionals as well can take part in these courses, as well as families and across generations. The children can be in one continent, the grandparents in the other, and they can all join along through this course. And that can help stimulate conversations within the family as well, within an organization, amongst the various Hindus, especially in America. You find them they are in large numbers in many different organizations. So this can actually help to stimulate conversation across groups wherever you are. It can help bring you on the same page, and more important, it is for
the idea is to bring all to the same page, so that as faculty as well as students across time zones bring us all of us to one page, can share the knowledge, so that we all look at the Hindu civilization perspectives with both confidence and dare. And as Dr. Hema said a moment back, we are all in the midst of celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi. So we'll just show you just a couple of banners that we have made. It's on our website on Ganesha, so that we understand the perspective that Ganesha is revered and happily understood by us. Just take it just a moment.
Great. And in the meantime, I'm just dropping in the chat the link to the program. So if you want some more details, you can click right through there and see that. And we're going to continue with this, and then I'll launch a poll real quick to get your take.
So if you go to our banners, in this you've got festivals. Look at this. There are different ways that we celebrate Ganesha. This is one particular banner that we have on the divinity of Ganesha, how we celebrate it, and what is the importance of Ganesh Tattva. There's obviously an article. Go check out article here. And when we say Ganapati Bappa Moria, why did we say that? What is the connection between Bappa Moria? Is because when we celebrate Ganesha, we say this so happily and so elevating. It's Utsaha. Why do we say that? We say this when we do Visarjan, immersion of Ganesh Murti. Why do we do that? Similarly, so that's what we do. It's there. And do you know one thing? We talk about Ganesha now. You got Ganesha Utsav all over the world. But you know, over 120 years ago, in the 1800s, before itself, there were over 100 Ganesha temples in Japan. Even now, it's all pre-World War I temples of Ganesha world over, which we have spoken about in our book, Indo-Japan. It's there. And that's a beauty. So it's a worldwide divinity across the land. Isn't surprising to know that there are 100 Ganesha temples in Japan, all pre-World War I. And it's called Kangi Ten. Ten means divinity. Dev, Ten, Kangi Ten. And go down further. And there are many Ganeshas. One of them is obviously Kangi Ten in Japan. The Greek idea of Janus, Greek-Roman idea of Janus itself is got a lot of similarity to Ganesha. There's an article on the subject. Similarly, Copen, Honduras, USA. Then Mayan, here you've got Afghanistan to Thailand, Cambodia, Tibet, all over. So you've got the idea of Japan, the idea of Ganesha is worldwide. And so happy that we are in the midst of celebrating Ganesh Chaturthi in all of us. So in Karnataka and Maharashtra, they celebrate as Gauri Ganesha. They celebrate with Mother Gauri. So you got a whole, and Balagangadhar Tilak, Lokamani Balagangadhar Tilak made this in 1894, about 130 years back, so popular. From celebrating personally in your house to making it a Sarvajanic celebration. Sarvajanik means people, Jana, people, Sarvajanik, involving all the people. We celebrate Ganesha. So he used it to create a national fervor. So Ganesha, when you speak of freedom struggle, Ganesha had a great role in playing for the freedom struggle of India, of removing the colonial yoke.
So he made it a people's festival, Sarvajanik, because if you really see, Ganesha is a people's god. Because the word Gana itself means hordes. It represents people, lot of people. Therefore, that is why you have your Republic Day being called as Gana Tantra Divas. Gana, meaning horde, all people put together. So Ganesha, that way itself, himself, is a divinity for people. He represents people. And what better way to celebrate him than as a Sarvajanik festival itself. So
there are a few articles and short films of ours on Ganesha, which you can watch later in the site. Having said this and understood the celebration that we are in, and any more questions? I think parallelly we answered most of your questions. Then we'd like to give the stage back to our good friend and colleague of the university, Shri Ankur Patel, to take it forward from here. Thank you once again for the opportunity. Look forward to meeting you all in the course as we go along. To register for the course, meeting in the course and interacting with you in a similar fashion, taking multiple points of view. That's how we should move with Ganesha. Knowledge, Gana, Isha, with all of us together.
Ganesha is also the divinity for knowledge. So Ganapati. So how do we understand? These are further aspects, not only of Ganesha, but various other divinities, which we'll be seeing through the coming quarter.
Wonderful. Wow, I love it. I love it. Just a little an echo. All right, great. And we've seen the trajectory, right? And you've been doing this for 20 years, but thousands of years. And over the last 3-4 years, 10 quarters that you've built this certificate program with course by course, it is eye-opening. And we got into a little bit of that today. I think the audience appreciated it. I hope you did. Let me launch this quick poll. Just let us know if you're interested in enrolling in the Certificate of Hindu Civilizational Studies. Yes, no, maybe. Sonia G is asking, will this be shared on YouTube? It will be. If you registered for this webinar, you'll get the recording with a link, all those sorts of things. Maybe some of the presentation will be in there. We aren't sharing specific graphics, Sudhirji, but we'll figure out a way to get you the information you want. Let me just give a shout out to some of the other folks who joined us a little bit, actually starting at 9:01. I think I didn't call anybody out, but here you go. Anjali, thank you for joining from India. Siddharth and Aditya, Singh from Lucknow, Karthik from Coimbatore, Sanjeev from India, Meena from Orlando, Kumar from India, Ned from Atlanta, Houston, Chandrasekhar Ji, welcome. Bhuvan and Dil from Columbus, Siddharth and Aditya, right, next for recognition. Vikram, Bhaya, thank you for inviting people. Yes, if you are inviting friends and family and network to participate, we absolutely appreciate that. That is how we are going to get the word out. The language program was a whole series of questions, and so HUA is going to be launching new language programs depending on interest almost every quarter. Kannada, Telugu, Tamil, Gujarati, Punjabi. So quarter by quarter, we're understanding and recognizing people want to learn regional languages. Should Hindi is the one that we're launching this quarter. Should kind of meaning pristine, clear, historical, clean Hindi. And of course, the Sanskritam programs have been, other than the Haris, the next most popular set of courses we've offered is Sanskritam, the language. So thank you for that question and series on languages. A lot of assessment needs to be done for the different programs and depending on the youth's capacity. Yeah.
Ankur, can I just step in for a moment, please?
Please.
There are about 6 people who have said they have got some questions. So if they can ask their questions, we'll be glad to answer those 6 persons who have questions. We'll be glad to answer them.
I'm scrolling through the chat. There's no questions in the Q&A box except for one from Sonia G just right now. So please put your questions in the Q&A box. It just makes it easier.
Okay, the poll says 7 people have questions. That's why I asked it.
Oh, well, so for the poll, the enrollment poll, they have questions about, yeah, if you have questions about enrollment, don't just click the
Can
poll
ask
button
right
there.
away.
Type it
Yes.
in right now, ask your question. That way we can address it live right now. Yes, we're just about at the top of the hour. We still have enough time to take all of your questions and some closing thoughts. Let's get ready, to endeavor on this civilizational exploration. So please ask your questions now and think about if this program as a whole, there might be an individual course that really interests you. You can start with that and then see if you want to take the program, the whole program, but I think you will after you get a little taste. Who else do we have? Yeah, the time, it is all online. Time, we're trying to set it so that, and I think you made a mention of it, whatever time zone you are in, hopefully we can, you can participate. And if not, the recordings will be available. Yes, Gayatri ji, Dr. D.K.Hari and Dr. Hema are an institution in and of themselves, but we as Hindu University of America are glad to join forces. Absolutely. Is the diploma program and MA PhD program of HUA help me to get, we don't have a teaching program yet. So no, it's not a teacher program. Yeah, individual translations and issues with the words, we get into that all the time, get deep into it in the specific courses. There's the link. Okay, great to have your excitement and participation. Lots of thank you messages, appreciate it. Each of the courses is about $200, but if you enroll each individual after that is an extra $100, so you get like a discount or just a pricing for more people within the same family. The next student, the next brother or sibling, you get a little discount on that. And if you enroll in the whole certificate, we also have a little bit of a upfront kind of scholarship for that if you commit to the whole program. Please do contact us by email. I guess the Haris, they are accessible and they love answering your questions. So if you do, they will be happy to get in contact with you directly. Should Hindi just means pristine Hindi, clean Hindi, like grammatically correct, not Bollywood Hindi is one of the terms that somebody else said. That's not what we're going for. But proper academic Hindi, right? The kinds that journalism and writing and all that kind of stuff. Yes, you can attend regular courses as well, Shubhamji. We encourage that. Thank you. How has the certificate interest changed in the last few years? Well, actually, this is the first quarter. We are launching this certificate, but over the 4 years, we've seen tremendous growth, right? In 2019, we had 0 students, a couple, maybe 5 or 6 legacy students. And since 2019, we're at 2,200 individuals just about have taken at least one course. We've got over 500 people taking at least a course each quarter now. And so we have seen the interest grow. And because of the quality of the faculty, the engagement, we're also developing the platform and being inclusive and engaging. And so the Haris are also growing and gauging more interest and connecting to our roots at a deeper level. So Sonia ji, thank you for that. The charges for the course will be $200 for one enrollment. Each additional enrollment from a family, a sibling, will be an extra $100. That's if you are taking an individual course. But as a certificate program, there are some upfront scholarship discounts if you purchase the whole program. So please do respond to Pragya ji, who will be following up with an email, a link to the registration, a link to the program and other details you may have. So we will, we'll follow up. We'll be in touch for your specific enrollment issues. Can you enroll this way? But please do ask any extending or any questions that you have left right now.
Yeah, Ankur, can we just step in to highlight that the university is offering scholarships for people from the Indian subcontinent and Girmitya countries. So, there is a coupon code that people can apply for from the university website, and therefore the fees are lesser. And thirdly, for those in the Indian subcontinent and people living here, there is also additional scholarships that they can aim for. They can apply on the BharathGyan website, and after due assessment, waivers and other things be put to these applicants. So please go to BharathGyan website as well, and you will get information for both the scholarships. And on the HUA website also, you have the scholarships for Girmitya, Asia Pac, and different regions, right, Ankur?
Exactly. And I dropped the link for that, the HUA scholarship application, in the chat right there. You can fill it out. If you are curious, you need help, whatever it is, just let us know and we will try to facilitate. And what's been amazing, we've had people like Ram Gupta donate 15 scholarships at a time specifically for your course, because he was so impressed with what you've been doing. And who was it? Srijaji, Sridhar Rao says, this course is what the situation calls for right now across the globe. To have solid foundations, we must splurge and increase our knowledge and explore our roots. Vikramji also seconds that. So with the platform we're creating, we want you to participate. We are running a university, so we have to charge for course fees and all the back end, but because it is so valuable and we have so many people who want to support and provide, other people and support other people to get on this pathway, we do have resources for that. So don't hesitate to reach out. That is a potential barrier that we can hopefully, get through together. And we've had
there
about
was one
42
question by Shakuntala ji on the duration of the course. See, every course typically has about 10 online sessions, and usually they are held every weekend. So 10 weekends, Saturdays. 10 Saturdays, typically again. And except in summer, sometimes, because since the quarter is small, we may have 2 classes every weekend and have just 5 weekend course instead. So it is fundamentally 10 sessions per course. Per quarter is 10 sessions, 10 online sessions.
And then each session is like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours if there's a lot of questions. Yes. I know you stay longer.
Average of 100 minutes. About 100 minutes.
100 minutes per class. Great.
Yeah, but there's always the course recording in case you have to exit earlier for whatever reason. You can always catch up and from the recording.
Yeah. And Sonali has this question. They live in a different family, a different city than their family. How can they take the course with me? So you've talked about this a little bit. Please talk about how people from around the world can learn at the same time through our programs and your class in particular.
We welcome people from across time zones to join the course and across generations also. So it's a way for the grandparents probably living in India to connect with their grandchildren living in Americas or Europe, so that they get to spend 100 minutes a weekend together on this course, and would help them to interact mutually among themselves on this content later after the session. So it's a bonding exercise of family members across time zones. And we have seen this happen in multiple cases where father and daughter, grandparents and grandchildren, they have taken the course across time, and siblings. So we have had a lot of people, cousins take it across time zones. So it's a bonding exercise, because then they talk about these points. What is there to talk? So this creates a bond for families across time zones, across generations too.
Right. And so the way that we do that is that first enrollment is $200 and that second enrollment is $100. So we get you your @hua.edu email address, you log in, you have your own learning management system, and you're your own student at HUA. But because of this course in particular and the way that the Haris have set it up, we're facilitating that kind of intergenerational, intercontinental, across time zone ability to dig into these important subjects. Sonali, thank you for that question. And then Shubhamji is asking, when we'll start offline courses? And so I think that we're doing some retreats and some in-person stuff, but we are not doing in-person courses other than a few yoga retreats or a couple special sessions for probably another few quarters. But when we do, you will know. We will announce it. We'll do a webinar. We'll invite you to come out. So these are all online courses as of right now. Thank you. All right.
And I think there is Shanta ji here who is saying she would like to do the course, provided there is not much homework. No, don't worry. Not much homework at all. I mean, provided you're attending the online session. See, fundamentally, in the course, the assessment as such for the course, we've divided it into two parts, 150% scoring for attendance and a 50% scoring for quizzes, results from the quizzes. The quizzes are just multiple choice online, so very easy. And if you have attended the online sessions or seen the recordings, you would be able to answer all the quizzes. And over and above this, there is reading material and films to watch for you. So fundamentally, your homework is attempting the quizzes. And if you haven't been able to attend the online session and you would like your attendance, then please watch the recording and make a log in your diary. That will then give you the attendance for that session as well.
Absolutely. It's all simple, Shantaji. It's not that heavy. You'll just enjoy it. Please don't come with the foreboding that's heavy and you got to do a lot of homework. No, it's all easy, fun. All of us will do. We don't expect excessive homework. We're not going to give any backbreaking work.
The only homework is assimilation. That's all.
Right. So this is part of our continuing education kind of division. So it's not heavy on that homework, but we do have a whole graduate level program where if you want to read 100 pages a week and 200, 300 pages a week, some classes and all of that, we have that whole range of opportunity. But I think this is one of the reasons why your courses are so popular and so interesting, because it is, you come, you enjoy, you learn, you have the conversation. And if you want to do the extra reading, if you want to dig in deeper, you can, but it's not required. So in that, I think a lot of people
that material is available for them for as long as they want anyway. So they can read it anytime. You don't have to necessarily complete it within this time bound 1 quarter. You can keep reading it all.
And revisiting it later for reference too.
Okay, I think we got through all of the questions. Maybe it's time for some closing thoughts. What do you think? And then let me just start and then you can go and then we'll close out. But again, it is always my pleasure to have you on board. These webinars are exciting and you can see it by the attendees, your own students coming back and bringing new people and just, again, laying out the program and the need for this civilizational study and the way that you've broken it down and subject by subject, course by course, and making it accessible. I'm just, again, glad to be working with you. And Hindu University of America is this kind of platform where it just makes sense to work with you and what you've been doing and elevate this knowledge and wisdom and include and invite people to participate at whatever level, wherever they're at. And so it's always my pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for being on. And if you haven't filled out the poll, just try to minimize, click it before we end. Let us know yes, no, maybe if you're interested in the certificate program, Hindu Civilizational Studies. And so with that, I will hand it back to the Haris who will take us out. Who will give us the closing thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah, Ankur, just a closing, we just saw one question from a person, Shubham, who said she had filled up the scholarship form. Yes, they are being provisioned, so don't worry, you will hear, I think, very soon from the university about
Ankur, I think you have to take up this issue and handle it. Shubham Walia. She's asked a question on the chat box, Q&A.
Okay, it's been a week. I will look into that. Thank you, Shubhamji. I'll definitely follow up on that.
Yeah. All right. So we look forward to seeing as many of you as possible in our courses, and together let's explore what this civilization has done and brought forth across all these millennia and handed it down to us for us to relish and for us to further carry it forward. So with those remarks, I think we would like to open the course, not close this session, but open the course.
All of it. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.